The truth about depression, and how to avoid it. Depression is a serious disease that affects millions of people each year. It can be debilitating and intense, but it doesn't have to define your life. By learning more about depression and taking steps to prevent it, you can manage the symptoms of depression and live a happier life overall. What is depression? Depression is a serious illness that can cause you to feel hopeless, helpless, and worthless. If you have depression, you may have trouble getting out of bed in the morning or finding the motivation to do things that used to be enjoyable. Depression can also make it hard for you to concentrate, think clearly, and make decisions. Depression affects your body as well as your mind and behavior. Depression in the holiday season. The holiday season can be a complicated time for those living with depression. The availability of chocolate and cookies may seem like a good way to cope with your feelings, but this is not always the case. Stressful situations often expose underlying issues with depression and anxiety, making it more difficult to manage these emotions while celebrating the holidays with family members. If you are experiencing signs of depression during this time of year, there are several ways to effectively treat them before things get worse. Take care of yourself by getting enough sleep and eating healthy meals regularly. Avoid alcohol when dealing with stresses, it will only make things worse. Instead, try taking walks outside or listening to music that lifts your spirits, whatever makes you feel better. If things become overwhelming at home, try spending time away from loved ones until you've had time away from home and or made some changes. The causes of depression. Depression is a mood disorder that causes feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and despair. Depression is caused by chemical imbalances in the brain, which can be inherited from family history or caused by certain life events, such as traumatic events. While depression can affect anyone at any age, it's most common among adults aged 15 to 44 years old. As much as 10% of people will experience a major depressive episode at some point in their lives. How to avoid depression? Avoid drugs and alcohol. You know how you feel after a long day, maybe a bit down, or just not in the mood to do anything? If you're feeling this way, try to avoid using substances that will make it worse. Also, be careful about taking medication for depression if it contains alcohol or other drugs, including antihistamines. Get enough sleep. Depression can cause insomnia, but poor sleep habits can also contribute to depression. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of nightly rest in order to maintain good mental health, and set yourself up for less stress throughout the day. Eat a healthy diet. A balanced diet is key when it comes to fighting off both physical illness and emotional distress. Replenishing your body's nutrient stores will help give it the energy needed to keep up with daily demands on its resources, while providing essential vitamins and minerals necessary for proper brain function as well as growth spurts during adolescence. Exercise regularly. Because exercise acts as an antidepressant itself by releasing endorphins into our bloodstream, which interact with receptors on nerve cells they stimulate within our brain. So regular workouts may boost happiness levels even further than previously believed possible. Where to seek help for depression? Depression can take many forms. If you're feeling suicidal, seek professional help immediately. You might be able to get over depression on your own, but it's still important to talk to someone about how you're feeling. It may be difficult for people with depression to reach out for help because they feel ashamed or embarrassed by their symptoms. But seeking out a friend or family member is one of the best things you can do for yourself when dealing with depression. There are many causes for depression, but with treatment and self-help you can beat it. Depression is a serious mental illness that can cause significant distress and impairment in a person's life. A depressed mood, loss of interest or pleasure in activities, weight changes, suicidal thoughts, insomnia or excessive sleeping, fatigue and low energy levels are common symptoms. Depression is not just feeling sad, it is an illness with specific symptoms that affect how you feel and think about yourself. You may also notice that some days are worse than others with depression. Some people cry more often while others may experience increased irritability or anger along with the other symptoms of depression. Depression is not just having the blues for a few days after hearing bad news or losing something valuable to you, it's much more than that. Depression affects an individual's thinking patterns as well as their emotions, resulting in negative thoughts about oneself, which leads to feelings of hopelessness about the future, leading ultimately into suicide attempts if left untreated for too long without seeking professional help from doctors who specialize in treating this condition, like psychiatrists or psychologists who understand better ways. Possible treatments available today, including medication therapy combined with talk therapy sessions conducted by qualified professionals who specialize training individuals diagnosed suffering from this condition called depressed. Don't sweat the small stuff. As you start to learn more about depression, you might find yourself becoming discouraged by the many factors that can lead to it. It's important to remember not to get too bogged down in the details. Instead of focusing on every possible cause for your symptoms and what could go wrong next, try keeping things in perspective with this rule: don't sweat the small stuff. Even though it sounds like a cliche, this advice is actually quite helpful when dealing with depression. This doesn't mean you should ignore all of your problems or pretend they aren't real. It just means that there are some things that aren't worth getting worked up over. If something happens that causes a brief moment of frustration or irritation but has no lasting impact on your life, like forgetting where you put something, try not worrying too much about it or letting it ruin your day. Have an attitude of gratitude. Think of something you are grateful for. Write it down in a journal or on your phone. Think of something that you don't have, but would like to have. Write it down in the journal or on your phone. You should repeat this process every day until it becomes easy to do so automatically and without thinking about it, like brushing your teeth or eating lunch. Eat well. Avoid junk food. Eat healthy foods, such as vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. Drink plenty of water, especially if you are in a hot climate, or exercise a lot. Drinking water reduces your appetite for sweets and sugar-sweetened beverages, which are full of empty calories. Soda pop is not the answer. Eat small meals throughout the day rather than 3 large ones at dinner time. This helps your body maintain its metabolism throughout the day and night while you sleep, a 24-hour period. Be generous. Give more than you take. Give without expecting anything in return. Give to those who need it most. Make a donation and help out the less fortunate. There are many charities you can donate to, such as animal shelters or homeless shelters that specialize in feeding their clients each night so they have a good meal for their families at home every day. Some people also donate money for medical research into finding cures for diseases like cancer and AIDS/HIV, which affect millions of Americans every year. Giving is a great way to feel good about yourself because it makes others happy. Get some sleep. If you're in the habit of depriving yourself of sleep, it's time to break that habit. Studies show that sleeping for 8 hours a day can help manage depression. Sleep deprivation has been linked to depression, and people who don't get enough sleep are more prone to developing it. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine recommends that adults get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, but if you have trouble sleeping or find yourself waking up earlier than usual, try keeping a regular bedtime and waking up at the same time each morning. By getting into a regular sleep schedule and making sure you get enough rest each night, you can help prevent depression from taking hold in your life. Connect with others. In order to avoid depression, you should seek out others. If you are experiencing a depressive episode, it is important to talk with your family and friends. They can offer you comfort and support during this difficult time. Additionally, professional help can be beneficial if your symptoms become too severe. If you do not have any friends or family nearby, consider joining a support group or community center where there are other people who will understand what it's like to live with depression in their lives as well. You may also want to consider attending religious services, or services of another faith, on a regular basis because they provide an outlet for socializing while allowing individuals within the congregation to share their experiences with one another in an open manner that fosters positive relationships. Some people with depression feel stuck in a dark tunnel, with no idea how to get out. But there's always light at the end of this tunnel, even if you can't see it now. Depression is not a character flaw or something to be ashamed of. Depression isn't something you can just snap out of. Depression isn't cured overnight, it takes time and support from loved ones. Conclusion. If you are feeling depressed, there is help out there. The key to beating depression is to seek treatment and support from others. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because no one has ever benefited by waiting too long before asking for help. Also, never forget that life can be beautiful again. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe.